back to my channel, everyone. As I mentioned in my previous crawler video, today I'm taking you along on a rather special RC adventure, my very first night crawl. We're starting late in the evening with 16 dedicated crawler fanatics, all getting their trucks ready for what is going to be a very different kind of crawling experience. At the moment, there is still plenty of daylight, but that's not going to last for long. As the evening progresses, the sun will slowly disappear, the lights on our crawlers will become more important, and the trail will start to look completely different. I'm really curious to see what this is going to be like. Crawling during the day is already a lot of fun, but doing it in complete darkness? That's something I've never tried before. Will I love it and decide that night crawling is the best thing ever? Or will I be thinking after 10 minutes, why on earth did I think this was a good idea? And who knows, maybe this will be the start of a whole new RC addiction, and from now on I'll only want to crawl after sunset. But there's no point in trying to predict what's going to happen. We're here, the crawlers are ready, and the night is slowly coming our way. So let's just take it as it comes and see what this adventure has in store for us. Lights on, crawlers ready, let's start this night crawl. And of course I couldn't leave my Yikong Rockslide at home. When you have absolutely no idea what the trail is going to throw at you, it's probably a good idea to bring an all-rounder that can handle pretty much anything you put in front of it. You never know what kind of obstacles we're going to encounter tonight, especially once it gets dark and you can barely see what's coming. So I figured, why take any chances? Bring the big guns. The Rockslide is not exactly the smallest crawler in the group, but if things get difficult, I know I've got a crawler with enough capability to take on even the toughest obstacles. Now let's see if the Rockslide can live up to its reputation in the dark. The fence you can see here should probably already have been a warning sign. But of course, real crawlers don't let a little difficult terrain stop them. We're here to crawl, after all. Although, in this case, I think I was already asking myself after about 10 minutes, what on earth have I gotten myself into? At some point, driving the crawlers was simply no longer possible. The terrain had become so rough that we had to put the RC cars aside and start crawling ourselves. And it didn't take long before we discovered another little problem. The path wasn't just difficult, it was completely impassable. So after all that effort getting through the difficult section, we had no choice but to turn around and crawl all the way back again. Because apparently, going forward wasn't an option, and going backward wasn't exactly easy either. But luckily, nobody got hurt, and that's the most important thing. So now, the mission has changed. Forget about conquering the obstacles for a moment. We first need to find a safe and passable route for both us and the crawlers, because this is supposed to be a night crawl, not a survival expedition. of the things I really enjoy about RC crawling is that it's not always about how difficult the obstacle is, how capable your crawler is, or who can make it to the top first. Sometimes it's simply about being out there together. And tonight, crawling through the beautiful surroundings of Elsloo in the evening and into the night, that becomes even more obvious. There's something special about being out in nature with a group of people who all share the same crazy hobby. During the day, you can see everything around you. You can easily see the trail, the rocks, the trees, and all the obstacles waiting for your crawler. But as the sun starts to disappear, everything changes. The surroundings slowly become darker, the temperature starts to drop, and suddenly the little LED lights on the crawlers become the most important things on the entire trail. You see a small group of lights moving through the darkness, hear the electric motors working their way over the rocks, and every now and then someone shouts that they've found an interesting obstacle. And of course, when you're crawling with a group, there is always someone who thinks an obstacle looks much easier than it actually is. Yeah, that should be easy. Famous last words. Before you know it, everyone is standing around watching one crawler trying to climb an obstacle that looked completely harmless 5 minutes earlier. And that's what makes crawling with a group so much fun. You help each other, you give advice, you watch each other's lines, and sometimes you simply stand there laughing when someone chooses the absolute worst possible route. There's no pressure to win. Everyone has a different crawler, different tires, different setups, and of course, very different ideas about what a good line looks like. And then there is the scenery. Elsloo is already a beautiful place during the day, but experiencing it in the evening and at night gives it a completely different atmosphere. The darkness makes you notice things you normally wouldn't. The sound of the forest, the wind through the trees, and the small beams of light from the crawlers create an atmosphere that you simply don't get during a normal daytime crawl. And because you can't see everything, you also have to rely a little more on your crawler. You approach an obstacle, point the lights towards it, and think, okay, I think that's a rock. Then you get a little closer. Nope, definitely a much bigger rock. And sometimes you discover that the trail you thought was perfectly manageable suddenly looks like a serious expedition once it gets dark. But that's part of the adventure. There's something really satisfying about slowly making your way through the terrain together, stopping every now and then, helping someone get through a difficult section, and then continuing as a group. And even when things don't go according to plan, it usually makes the evening even more memorable. A crawler gets stuck, everyone helps. Someone takes the wrong line, everyone laughs. Someone finds an impossible obstacle, suddenly everyone wants to try it. And when one crawler finally makes it through, there's usually a little celebration, as if we've just conquered Mount Everest. That's what I love about this hobby. You don't need a huge racetrack, a trophy, or a perfectly prepared course to have a great time. Sometimes all you need is a crawler, a few batteries, some good lights, and a group of people who are just as crazy about RC as you are. And doing it at night adds a whole new dimension to the experience. You're not just driving an RC crawler anymore, you're exploring. You're looking for the next trail, the next obstacle, and the next safe route through the darkness. And, most importantly, you're doing it together. Looking around and seeing all those little headlights moving through the darkness is honestly a pretty cool sight. 16 people, 16 crawlers, completely different setups, but all here for exactly the same reason. To have fun, explore some beautiful nature, and enjoy another RC adventure together. And even if we occasionally have to turn around, walk back through the forest, find another route, or discover that the easy trail is actually completely impossible, well, that just gives us something to talk about afterwards. Because at the end of the night, it's not really about how many obstacles you conquered. It's about the experience, the laughs, the people you shared it with, and the memories you take home. And I have a feeling this is going to be one of those RC adventures that I'll remember for a long time. Crawling through the beautiful surroundings of Elsloo, watching the daylight disappear and the darkness take over, surrounded by a group of fellow RC enthusiasts, yeah, this is definitely a different kind of RC adventure.
Lite dopo paio, ma che
And of course, no RC adventure is complete without a little joke here and there, because apparently crawling slowly through the darkness is not enough, we also need to make it entertaining. Thanks again for watching, everyone. I can officially add another RC adventure to the list. And honestly, I think everyone should experience a night crawl at least once. It's definitely something completely different. Will I do it again? Probably not, and definitely not at this location. The darker it gets, the less you can actually see. And while this is a beautiful area, you really have to be careful where you're walking, especially here with all the storm damage and fallen trees. At some point, I was spending almost as much time watching where I was walking as I was watching the crawler. But hey, I'm really glad I experienced it. Another adventure completed, and another one ticked off my RC bucket list. Thanks again for watching, everyone. Stay healthy, keep RCing, and as always, on to the next RC adventure, and hopefully one where I can actually see where I'm going.